you started with the International Pathway Program.
In Germany, we had one tackling sled that was probably from the 1980s. Get to Florida, and it's like these guys are eating a 20-piece chicken McNuggets before practice, but then going out there and running a 4.3. I ended up being one of the 4 players selected to the New England Patriots. All of us rookies, we were still looking at Brady like, damn, like that's Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like, when I got this opportunity, I was just like, hey, I want to change the perspectives that are there for young players. When I was playing, there was no perspective. The idea of me going to college was really looked at as a kind of like a pipe dream. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, like this guy is just delusional. I think did I play against you?
We played against each other, bro.
Okay,
we played against each other.
Wait, how did that one turn out?
I'm sure that there is a clip of you probably trucking me, so we don't need to talk about that, bro. Do all your American teammates, do they all call you Jacob, or do they pronounce it properly the German way, Jakob?
They go Jakob, yeah, and their nickname is Jak over the years.
Jak, okay.
Dude, I love that. Yards after catch too. With the
Exactly.
I like it.
That's actually dope. Okay, all right, bro. So we got so much to talk to you about. Let's start at the beginning. You were born in Germany, and we just want to get kind of the background of how you got into American football, because obviously, dude, I'm sitting here in Southwest Germany, your old stomping grounds, where you're from. This is soccer world, bro. This is football soccer world. How in the world did you end up becoming a football player as a kid here in Germany?
Well, I started with soccer, like all German kids. Started with soccer. I kind of grew up my single mom, you know what I mean? So she was always looking for things to put me in. And the teachers kept complaining about how I would like have too much energy in school. So the idea was to put me in as many sports as possible to see if they can lower the battery a little bit. So I did like handball, basketball, wrestling, swimming, ice hockey, a bunch of them at the same time. Because, you know, in Germany, it's like it's like not in school sports, but you're doing the sports with club teams. So I'll be in like, say, soccer on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then basketball on Mondays and Wednesdays, and swimming on Fridays, and double up some sports. But that went okay for a while until like I got to think about like the 11-year-old range, 11, 12. And the older I got, the less they had uniforms in my size. In soccer, I was always like bigger than the other kids a little bit. And that really just kind of took me away from enjoying those sports, right? Like I always felt like I didn't fit in, and they just didn't really belong in that kind of environment. Also, like you said, Southern Germany, like there's a real particular soccer culture. Like the coaches would be these old cigarette smoking, beer drinking, you know what I mean, yelling guys. Like even at that age, I knew that we're not really doing the kind of soccer drills that are gonna get us to like the next level. So my mom saw a newspaper article about the Stuttgart Scorpions. I knew that my dad had played like for them like way back in the days for a little bit when he was in Germany. So I was interested. She took me to a practice, and from the first practice, it just felt like home. Like it was cool coaches. We were doing push-ups, and they were like challenging us. They were like, we had like an American coach that he would like sell cases of Mountain Dew out of the back of his car after practice. You know what I mean? So it was just like, from the first practice, I felt like I was at home.
Bro, you just dove into American culture with that, with football practice and Mountain Dew. Two of the pillars of American culture.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Man. So what you're about 11, 12 years old at this time, you said?
So I think my first, this was 2007. I think I was probably like 14 when or 13, 14, right around that range, when I went to my first flag football practice. Because at the time, the way it was set up in Germany, you could only play tackle football once you turned 15. So I went to like a practice, and then I got a bunch of my friends actually to come to practice with me. So they all fell in love with football too. And then I this is big. Got to backtrack a little bit. I skipped a grade. Like I went from first grade straight into third grade. So from there on out, I was always like the youngest in all my friends groups. So my friends had to go to tackle football before I got to go. You know what I mean? So like
Oh yeah.
they and the way it would work, like the flag football kids would practice, and then the youth practice would be after that. So then all my friends are going to the youth practice, and they get to bring their pad and helmet and everything. So of course I wanted to go too, and because I was already their size or whatever, like we talked to the coach, and they would let me practice with the youth team until I get old enough to actually play. So like for the first think year or something, I was just practicing out there, and yeah, that's kind of how I got started with football.
Did you skip a grade just because you were a bigger kid and like more developed early on, or why was it?
No, man, I'm just
Well, you
smart
were a
as hell.
genius. You were just still way too smart, bro. What is
No,
it?
man, it's so I was in a this is kind of like a TikTok trend right now too. I was in a Montessori school.
Oh yeah.
So they had like the first graders and second graders in the same room, and you would just pick like they would have an exercise sheet for the first graders and then one for the second graders. And like 6 months into the school year, I was already doing all the stuff that the second graders were doing, and my friends were like more like the second grader kids. So then they just offered it to my mom, and she was like, "Sure, like let's try it out." And yeah, it worked out for me from there.
Bro, you're a genius. You're a child prodigy.
Yeah, there we
The
go.
hardest humans to come from South Germany. You got Jakob Johnson and Albert
Right.
Einstein.
Let's go. Put me up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shout
bro.
out to Montessori school, man. Yeah,
Mm.
you're the
All
smart
right.
one on this call, dude.
Right.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
throws
I think it evened out. I think it evened out like playing football for so long. You know what I mean? It kind of put me back into my age group. But yeah.
Okay.
No, I love it. I love it. This throws a rock in Malcolm Gladwell's, what was it, 10,000 hour rule. I mean, you
yeah.
skipped the grade, got better immediately. That's crazy. One of the things I did want to bring up, because like obviously Nick and I grew up in the Midwest here in the States,
Mm.
and then we played ball in the Pacific Northwest, which is just a different type of ball, right? So
For
I'm
sure.
curious, like how your development in the German environment and the German culture with American football, and then hopping over to the States and experiencing ball in the South, which like for us, we know that's like a whole nother level in high school ball and everything. So like talk to us about that experience and how that was jumping from Germany over to literally the arena of football.
Yeah.
So when I started football in Germany, it was kind of like a little bit of a sport for like misfits, I would say, right? It would be kids that are too big or that for some reason don't fit in with soccer or with like track and field or whatever. So yeah, we had an interesting group of guys, and it was very much like you're not at that time you were not playing football for any accolades or like even trying to make it to college or the NFL. We were just playing football because that's what we like to do. You know what I mean? Like our families didn't really understand what we were doing. Our friends mostly didn't understand what we were doing. But we were just had this kind of football had this unique culture, right? Like this German football culture of like all of your friends on the team. You're like in the summertime, we would all hang out together. We'd go out as a group. We'd wear our Stuttgart Scorpions stuff everywhere. Like if we go to like the pool, like and we get in trouble with some guys, you got all of your teammates with you. So like it was kind of like a crew. And you know, drinking laws in Germany are a little bit different. So like after the games, you know what I mean, you got the 32 case of beer on the bus going back, like the crazy rookie rituals we had, like dudes would I don't know if you ever talk about all of this stuff, but like guys would have to go into like McDonald's in their underwear and order for the whole team on the way back from away games and stuff. Like it's just like it was very like different, I would say, to you know the culture of football in America. And you know, I eventually got pretty good, and we had like American import players that were kind of in my ear, like, hey, you potentially be good enough to play in the States or whatever. So me and a group of guys just started getting real serious about working out and getting better and all those things. And I figured out a way to get to the States. My first stop was a high school in Jacksonville, Florida, which you said, you know, a big difference. Like that was a big difference for me, you know. I'm going from this one environment where you're like very independent. Like German kids, like I ride public transportation to practice. On the weekends, we're out and about. Like I don't, as long as I check in with my mom, hey, I'll be back at like 2 or 3 or something in the morning. She's good, you know what I mean? We're outside, we're drinking beer, but we're also really serious about like supplementation, creatine, protein shakes, working out, and vitamins and all this stuff to try to get better at football, right? And you get to Florida and it's like these guys are eating a 20-piece chicken McNuggets before practice, but then going out there and running a 4.3. You know what I mean? So it was just it was real different. It was a wake up call to me, like as a kid, especially I'd say as a black kid growing up in Germany, you idolize America to an extent. We only in Germany we get America through pop culture, music, movies, stuff like that, and actually being in Florida in area that's like a rough area, like you understand that it's not as fun as it looks on MTV. You know what I mean? Like if you go to school and there's like fights every day, like we had kids getting shot. We had like they gave me textbooks and it's just like big chunks of pages missing. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
And we're definitely like we're not even. I'm not gonna lie. We're not going to school to learn. Like when I was in Florida, like I had already finished my gymnasium in Germany, so I finished like the highest level that you can do in Germany school wise. But I got to somehow do another 6 months at the high school there, and every day we're just going to school. People don't even bring a backpack; they just go to class. We're sitting in class, and people are like turning their tables and chairs away from the teacher just so they can talk to each other better. They got their phones out. They just full on ignoring whatever is going on in the front of the classroom. And me personally, that was just a wake up call for me. Like, oh shit, this is actually real. Like there's no like real perspective for these kids to go anywhere with the academics just because the quality of it is so bad. And I had never experienced that, you know what I mean? So that was definitely different.
Bro, that has to be just so crazy coming from kind of the, very polished school system of Germany. Like you said, you went to gymnasium, and Scott, Scott, for how it works in Germany, there's 3 levels of high school, and gymnasium is the highest. And it's the equivalent of then you're going to go to university. Jakob, so you graduated gymnasium. And then you came.
Let me not lie. I was the Realschule guy. I was a middle tier guy, but I finished the middle tier with really good grades. So then I was allowed to go on to the upper level. Yeah.
Okay. So you had there's like a couple different pathways. Okay.
Yeah.
But so you finished that, and then so you basically got to do a senior year of high school in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean the way it works in Florida, the rule on the book is you're allowed to play high school football, including the year that you turn 19, I want to say.
Okay.
And so I was still underneath the age limit. So when I went to the high school, I pretty much basically just brought all my paperwork, my passport, all the proof that my dad is American, all the things that I needed. And I just didn't bring them my graduation certificate. I just essentially told them, I didn't finish. And so they were like, yeah, we'll figure this out. They got the grades translated by like a German teacher like downtown or something, figured it out, and somehow got me into school. Probably helped that the defensive coordinator from that school, like he came to work me out on like a Saturday. He saw that I was already like 6'3", 240, so he was like, we'll figure out a way to get you into school.
I was gonna say they were probably like do whatever they could to get you on the field. So how was that? Like on the football field, because you obviously had a bunch of success on the football field in high school because you became a big prospect and ended up going to Tennessee. So how was that on the football field? Was it, I mean, obviously it's a different level of playing for the Stuttgart Scorpions in the GFL. How'd that feel on the football field?
Man, it was cool because it was in Germany at times I would get frustrated, you know what I mean, with my teammates' lack of athleticism, right? Like I would be like, damn, I can't make every tackle, right? Like that might be a bad thing. Like and I would never try to let that show, you know what I mean? Like I was always like a team guy, but you know what I mean, sometimes those thoughts would come up. And then in Florida it was more like, okay, no, I gotta actually put my best performance on the field here for me to be able to you know what I mean, hang at this level essentially. So it was also like like I said, I came in there pretty naive, still with my German mindset. So I was
Yeah.
I would like jog to school in the morning. I would try to get all the guys that, he had a couple guys that were like 1 foot in the football world, 1 foot, maybe in the streets that I was trying to get them riled up to, hey, come on, guys, we can do this. You know what I mean? We got to just listen to what coach says. So they were like, hey, man, what's up with this weird German dude? But over time, once I started making some plays, a couple guys bought in, and we actually had a pretty decent season.
You're out here inspiring people, changing lives, getting them on the football field off the street, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear, dude. And obviously, like, look, we always hear, again, we were coming out of the Pacific Northwest, but we always hear that the SEC is different, right? So, like, you had your experience at Florida. How was it also translating to the SEC? Did you feel like there was another level of commitment from the players, the organization that was closer related to, say, what you were experiencing in German and like that culture and how you guys approach tasks?
I mean, Tennessee, of course, that's the SEC. That was a whole nother level. Like, I've never seen resources like this. Even in the NFL, I would say not every place has the quantity, like just the overall amount of resources that like a school like Tennessee has. Like, you come in, first of all, they have a whole cafeteria for the athletes, right? Where it's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you can take as much home as you want. And they're not just serving everything. It's like prime rib in the morning. It's like made to order eggs and scrambled eggs, biscuits, grits, bacon, all the southern stuff that you can picture. And they have got, of course, like a weight room just for football, and then a weight room for all the other sports. You got a big indoor facility. The nutrition setup, like you would get a personalized shake after every workout. They'd have all your not all. They have some vitamins there, like vitamin D and omegas and stuff like that. But then, of course, like every Gatorade shake, every Gatorade product you can imagine, they got it. You know what I mean? Like protein bars, protein shakes. Man, they'd make us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like they pretty
You're
much
making
have
me
it
hungry right now.
Yeah, I know, man.
I haven't eaten dinner yet.
Very food focused review. No, so like from that perspective, it's like a overwhelming amount of resources.
Right.
Obviously the football side of things, you have like beautiful meeting rooms. You got the outdoor fields and all the pads and cones and just football equipment that I've never seen before, right? Like in Germany, we had one tackling sled that was probably from the 1980s or something like that, right? And we barely even had the regular bags that people hold to block and stuff. You'd usually, if you have gloves, you would have one pair of gloves for the whole season, one pair of cleats for the whole season. And then obviously that changed a lot at Tennessee, where you got your one-day wash. After every workout, they wash your clothes for you. You know what I mean? You got to come home with the stinky gym bag and wash everything yourself. It was different. And then the game day atmosphere, that's of course something that's like, you got to like just experience that to believe it. Tennessee at the time was 102,455 seats, and pretty much all the SEC games would be sold out every Saturday. Like even if our record is not good, so that was definitely like a once in a lifetime experience.
Bro, that's got to just be so crazy to go like in just a couple of years from playing with the Scorpions in Stuttgart to then be playing in the SEC with Tennessee in those stadiums. What was your favorite place to play in the SEC? Or least favorite? Like which was the most intense?
Well, I think the home game experience, Neyland Stadium, is definitely up there, right? Because you got all that traditional kind of pageantry with the marching band, and then they open up into this T and the football team runs out, and they're playing Rocky Top and everything is orange. Or they have the checkerboarded stadium where it's like one section is orange, one section is white, and it just goes all around the stadium. That's pretty cool. But as far as away games go, I think South Carolina is honestly a little bit slept on because they play that Sandstorm song. So if you're into like techno music, you know what I mean? Everybody got the towels going. That's pretty cool. and Alabama, obviously, like for Tennessee and Alabama, it's that rivalry where it's the cigar game. So whoever wins the game, after the game, they're lighting up the cigars. So one of my memories was like freshman year. I think we lost down there. Like we missed 2 field goals, and I think we lost by 4. But as we're like walking off, you walk in underneath the student section, and just the whole student section, you just see the orange dots from the cigars and
Oh,
just smoke going up. Like you can't
that's
even see the
great.
people anymore. Like that was pretty dope.
Dude,
Oh,
that's
wow.
that's an iconic memory right there.
Yeah.
Scott, do you have another on college before? Because I
Yeah.
was gonna. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to ask, like, probably a little more focused on your play, more so than anything. So,
Yeah.
just doing the research over here, you were a defensive guy in Germany,
Yeah.
going to Florida and doing all that kind of stuff, and then you made a switch to offense during college. Can you
Yeah.
talk to, like, right now, Travis Hunter is just littered on everyone's feed right now, and what he's doing is
Yeah.
wild, right? Can you talk to your experience in switching and learning the game from the defensive side and then switching to the offensive side, and how that may have helped you as a player just understanding the game?
Sure. I think it helps because you just learn more about football. I don't know if it necessarily like helped me as much. For me, it was more like I got to Tennessee. I'm like 6'3", 245.
Yeah.
I don't know, like single digit body fat. So I'm an athlete.
Man.
I look the part, but I don't know that I had enough of the football knowledge, right? Like if you don't grow up around the game, I don't think I think I could probably watch a single digit amount of NFL games during my whole time in Germany. So I just didn't see a lot of football. And at the SEC level, especially playing defense, you got to be able to recognize fronts, sets, formations. I didn't know the difference. Between a pro formation, slot formation, I didn't know any of these terminologies, right? So it was real hard for me to catch on to that. And I started, I think, 2 games my freshman year after our starter got hurt, but I think that was just too soon for me, right? And
Yeah.
what happens sometimes in the SEC, because things move fast, right? If you burn your one opportunity, they're moving on from you because they got another group of guys coming in next year. On top of that, I was injured, so then they were kind of like just looking at the roster, like, hey, where can we fit him in? I did a couple weeks at defensive end, but eventually they were just like, hey, we're lacking a little bit of physicality and toughness at tight end. Let's try him out over there. And for the rest of my college time, I was really struggling with that transition, right? I never really ran routes before, had nothing to do with really catching the ball before. Eventually, my senior year, things kind of went a little bit better, but I think it really took probably until I went back to Germany and played for the Scorpions there in 2018. But I think did I play against
Bro,
you? Were you still
we
active
played
then?
against each other, bro.
Okay,
We
there you
played
go.
against each
Wait,
other.
how did that one turn out?
I don't want to. I'm sure that there is a clip of you probably trucking me, so we don't need to talk about that, bro. That's what I was
No,
going to
but
ask.
it wasn't
Oh, yeah,
until
go
like 2018 when I was in Germany where I just got the reps on the field, right? Like if you want to make the transition to like a different position, you got to find a way to just get the reps at the skills that you haven't practiced yet. So I was just lacking the reps in catching and running with the ball and doing all the things that you do on offense until I went back home playing for the Scorpions, and now I'm on the field every snap of the game. You know what I mean? So that just gave me the kind of confidence and the kind of repetitions that I needed, I think, to really transition.
Bro, that's actually really, really cool. Yeah. So Scott, the team that I play for, the Unicorns, is like the most
Mhm.
hated rival of Jakob's team.
Big
the Stuttgart.
rival.
They
Listen, like
hate
you
each other, bro.
don't understand, man. This shit is serious. Like it might be more from our side, but like when we're in the youth team, like every time we playing them, we're talking shit. Like you're
Yeah.
tackling people,
Oh, I
you're
love
spitting
it.
in their face, anything you can do. Like on social media, we're trash talking them the weeks before the game. Like it was
Bro,
on.
Oh, I
I
love to
know.
hear that.
It was you were nice, bro, because when my documentary Unicorn Town came out, you texted me and you
Yeah.
were like, "Hey, bro, I hate the unicorns. Like this is the one time
Yeah.
I'll say something nice. I like the
Yeah.
documentary, but go Scorpion."
Go Scorpions, yes, sir.
I gotta say, just interjecting, the German culture seems to just nail the mascot names so much better than the United States. Are you talking like scorpions and unicorns, dude?
Killer
Yeah.
crocodiles, yo,
Yeah.
Jakob. I mean, we got some good ones in the GFL and in the ELF
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely like I feel like a little bit more creativity, right? Because
Yeah.
people don't know what it's supposed to be like, so they just pick something that they like and they run with it. Like,
Bro, I love
uh,
that. I love that. It's been hilarious to tell people back in the States that I'm playing for a team in Germany called the Unicorns. So
yeah,
it,
you're playing for a team in Germany that's the Unicorns. That's also the best team in the league. Like,
I know people think that I'm
like,
like joking and pranking. I'm
yeah.
like, what? No way.
Uh,
So then obviously the big stuff comes, the NFL
mm,
stuff. Can you talk a little bit about how this happened? Because you started with the International Pathway Program, and that's what first
yeah,
got you from Germany back over to the States to the league. So can you talk a little bit about that experience and how that got you
for
into
sure.
the NFL world?
Yeah, so the pathway program at the time was real small. This was like their second year, maybe a third year. Like it really just got started off of some NFL UK office guys going rogue and taking a little bit of leftover money and training some guys in America. And once that worked, the next year they got a little bit more money and they grew it and grew it. So they had come to talk to me when I was at Tennessee, and we're like, hey, like they first of all they do their homework, like because they had limited resources. The people that they selected for the program, they had to make sure that these are like high quality guys. So they interviewed all of my coaches. They spoke to my uh, teammates. They spoke to the counselors, the academic counselors, and everything. Like they do a whole background check on you. Um, but at the end of the day, I wasn't able to go because I tore my labrum my senior year again, right? So after I tore my labrum and we go 0-8 in the SEC my senior year, I'm pretty much like, hey, I'm gonna do my pro day, but then I'm probably done with football, right? And I didn't really have no offers or perspectives left here in the States. I wanted to study medicine at the time. So my family back in Germany was just like, hey, if you come back to Germany, all the time that you spent in America, you can claim that as Wartezeit, so as like semesters that you spent waiting for a spot. So that might
Yep.
increase your chances of getting a spot at a university. And I just packed my bags, grabbed my girlfriend, and went back to Stuttgart with no intentions of playing football, right? Like, I got to add that too. I got
Yeah.
talked into playing by the guys that I grew up playing with. So they were like, "Hey, if you are going to be here in Stuttgart, you're playing for the Scorpions again." And
Yeah.
essentially played for them that summer, had some fun, and towards the end of that season, the Pathway program called me back and was like, "Hey, if you recovered from your shoulder injury, we saw that you're like still playing. We'll invite you for a tryout out in London." So they flew me in, did that tryout. Didn't hear back from them for like I think 3 or 4 months, but then like right as December came around, they were like, "Hey, we'll bring you in to train you." So they took me in the pathway. The pathway is essentially they're taking, at the time it was 8 guys. Now it's like I think 16 or even more. They
Yeah.
take them to IMG, train them there for 3 months, and then you do a pro day, an international pro day,
Cool.
down there in Florida. So did that, just really approach it like my second opportunity, right? Like my first opportunity with college didn't really work out for a myriad of reasons, but I kind of just took all the lessons that I learned from that and applied them to this second shot, and worked out. They ended up being one of the 4 players selected, got sent to the New England Patriots, which were like the reigning Super Bowl champs at the time, right? This is like spring 2019. They just won that 2018 Super Bowl. All the big names are still there. Brady is there. Edelman, the McCourty twins, Bill Belichick, obviously the head coach. Josh McDaniels is the OC, and I'm really the 91st guy on the roster. Like I'm a guy that I don't count against the 90-man roster. And if they decide to keep me on this practice squad, this international exemption spot, I don't count against their final regular roster or P squad roster either. So I'm safe, but in my mind, I didn't approach it that way just because this is New England Patriots. And before I got sent there, the people from the Pathway program essentially told me like, "Hey, we are just happy that they even took you because we weren't sure if they were even going to participate in this, right? This is
Yeah.
something that every year the Pathway program would select an NFL division, and those 4 teams would get an international guy. But since the Patriots and the league, they kind of have this thing going on sometimes. They didn't know if they were going to like participate in this. So when they called and said, hey, we'll take Jakob Johnson, they were like happy, but they also were like, hey, we don't know what they're going to do with you. You know what I mean? Like maybe they release you, maybe not. Maybe they keep you all year, maybe not. So in my mind, I was just like, hey, I'm just going to go hard and try to make this team. And it started off a little rocky. My first practices weren't like the greatest, but I just got better a little bit every day. You know what I mean? I just stuck to my process. I had like 3 goals for every day, reviewed the tape at the end of the day, talked to my coaches a bunch. And by the end of training camp, I ended up making the regular practice squad, which was a huge win. At the time, if you made the international exemption spot, that meant you were inactive for the rest of the season. You couldn't be activated to actually play. So making a regular practice squad was essentially their way of saying like, hey, we're looking at you as just a regular guy that's fighting to be a part of this team. And I think 3 weeks in, their starting fullback got hurt. I ended up getting activated, and I've been hanging around the league ever since.
That's such a humble way of saying like you're actually a baller. No, I really, I really wanted to dive into that. So you got to first experience in the NFL is wild that you got to go to an organization like the Patriots, right? Because like the legend of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and that organization is just throughout our lifetime is so deep and so rich, right? So can you speak to like maybe I wonder, and this is just me spitballing here, but I wonder like with your German roots and your background and everything, and just what I know to be the German way is very regimented. What did you find the Bill Belichick sort of system and the organization to be very, very akin to what say German culture is like?
I think so. I mean, the man is Croatian, right? So there's
Right.
some European ties there. But honestly, it's a very common sense approach. Like if you maybe gave a scientist or like a military general the task of making a really good football team, that's probably how you could summarize the Patriot way, right? Like we're gonna what do you say? Cross all our commas and dot all our I's. Like we're just gonna
I'm using that from now on.
That's good. There we go.
we're gonna do all the things that you need to do, right? We're gonna any variable that we can control, we're gonna control. We're gonna work extremely hard, and we are gonna require everybody that's in this building to do what's best for the team. And I think that's kind of how I would summarize it. Like there's no magic bullet, there's no secret anything. Like on a coach's side, it just means we're going to watch more film than the other coaches. We're going to prepare more. We're going to have more answers for anything that can be thrown at us. We'll go back and we'll watch not only all of their stuff from this year, but all the stuff from last year and the jobs that they had before that, and maybe what trick plays they ran in college. And on the same side, as a player, it means we're going to work truly way harder than anybody else in the league during the off season, in the physical preparation part, like when it comes to the lifting and all that stuff. We're going to require way more. On the mental part of things, we're going to require way more, and we're going to essentially control all the variables to put us in the best position to win every Sunday, without any kind of other, like winning is the main focus. We're trying to win, and we're going to just work so hard until we're going to win. Like that's the magic, you know what I mean? Like we just don't care about all this other stuff. We don't want to be friends with nobody. We don't want to be media darlings. We're not trying to write any narratives. Just do what it takes to win.
Damn, bro. What was it like being a teammate of Tom Brady's? I mean, this dude is just like he's so iconic, and he's got such an aura. But he's just, when you're on a football team, that's just your teammate. How did that feel, and what was he like?
I mean, as a rookie, there's still like that little bit of that reverence there, right? Like, this is my first year in the league. Like all of us rookies, we're still looking at Brady like, damn, like that's Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like he's been playing in this. Like I remember, I think the first football game I ever watched was the helmet catch Super Bowl Patriots against New York Giants. And, he was already playing then, and that wasn't even his first Super Bowl that he was playing in. So, as pretty much as far as all of us could remember, like he was the guy out there, and he comes as advertised, right? Like he is him, indeed. You know what I mean? He's the one.
He's
But
him.
yeah, but I think also like just being in that New England system for as long as he was, like the the kind of requirements that are made of you as a player, I don't think a lot of people can would be able to do that for that long, right?
Yeah.
Like being in the league for 3 years is hard. Being in the league for 5 years is hard, but being in the league for as long as he was, and then in a place where you're required to work as hard and sacrifice as much as in New England, I think that just for me added another level of like respect for what he was able to accomplish.
Man, that's cool to hear that, because from the outside of just people being
Yeah.
football fans, that's kind of the image that you have of him. But it's cool to hear the same. It matches up
Yeah.
from
And you know, like honestly, another thing that's like really just if you just look around the league nowadays, like all the quarterbacks talk about, hey, I'm all about winning, and I just want to win, I just want to win. But at the end of the day, all of them are taking contracts that are using up 40% of the salary cap. You know what I mean? So how can you sit here and say that you're all about winning, but you're also all about taking up 50% of the salary cap? You know what I mean? So, and I think that's something that, like, when it comes to the money, when it comes to the fact that this man was 10 years in the league, still at OTA, still at phase one, working out with the rest of the team. You know what I mean? These are all like little things that not a lot of people are doing.
Yeah, man. I mean, because you hear some other like kind of veteran quarterbacks like not showing up to OTAs and just not really having that militant discipline
Yeah.
that he seemed to have.
Yeah,
That's,
or even just how they are treated, right? Like you,
yeah,
and granted, you know, what I mean, there probably should have been a little bit more white glove treatment of this man going on over there. They probably should have appreciated him a little bit more. But he was certainly just, even in the year that I was there, pretty much treated like any other player. Like I specifically remember a play where like the center snapped the ball over Brady's head. You know what I mean? And Bill's like, I mean, right here, I mean, you jumped about the height of my dick, you know what I mean? Just like making jokes in front of everybody, you know what I mean, about like the greatest player of all time at that position, you know? So it was like, but that sends a message, you know what I mean? That sends a message to everybody else in the room, like, hey, you know what I mean? We don't care who you are and what your accolades are, like, you're just another cog in the machine.
Yeah.
That must be, that this type of attitude must have played a big part in all the success that franchise was able to have over all the years.
Yeah, definitely. It's the longer I'm in this league, man, I'm realizing it's all about organizational culture and the overarching story and ethos of a team, like similar to the Unicorns, right? Like y'all had this thing over there where it was not only the coaches, it was not only the players, it was also the support staff and all the people around and the different businesses that were supporting y'all and giving jobs to y'all's players. All that stuff came together to tell this story of who the Unicorns are. And those were the kind of people that y'all were bringing in the building. Y'all were bringing coaches in and players in who all fit the same kind of style of doing things and organizational culture. And I think it's the same in the NFL. The more you can have a place where all the little pieces are aligned in the same direction, the more likely you are for the thing to succeed.
Yeah, dude, I was going to ask you, this is a little bit off topic, but just going off what you said there, because Scott and I, we talk on the show a bunch about kind of cultures of different organizations, and especially talking of like young guys in the league, like rookies. And we talk a lot about rookie quarterbacks and maybe rookie quarterbacks struggling in certain organizations and how a lot of people on the outside will write off a rookie quarterback or a young player really quickly and really early, will not recognizing, hey, this organization is not necessarily known for being that polished and that's that well kept. What are your thoughts on that, on some of these organizations? I mean, one that comes to mind kind of right now for me is like the Panthers and Bryce Young. What are your thoughts on like young quarterbacks in these situations?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it, right? Like in New England, it was very much a plug and play kind of deal, and obviously in the grand arc, it didn't work out. But I think when I think back to 2021, Mac Jones' rookie year, right? Cam Newton is the starter now, right? This rookie guy, Mac Jones, comes in and he just works extremely hard with the position coach that he had, and within the system that was set up for him to learn the playbook, to get better, to just grow into this role. And we could all see it from the first couple walkthroughs and practices that we had to the end of training camp. He had a drastic improvement throughout the season. You know what I mean? He got better and better and better. And he took us to the playoffs in his rookie year, right? Now, granted, from there, they changed the OC around. They, you know what I mean? They didn't put him in the best position to win. And I think that's kind of where the New England thing kind of started to fall apart a little bit, or that's why they're going through the rebuild that they're going through right now. But that is not the same in a place like, I would say, Carolina, right? Where they're on a more fluid situation. They're trying to find their identity. You got different impulses from ownership, from coaches that are changing. In New England, it has been the same general structure for a really long time. And it really hasn't changed now with Mayo. There's somebody else sending maybe different impulses, but it's the same general structure. They have a certain way of doing things. And that structure can give a young player a clear set of things like that he has to work on, and a clear set of rules to follow in a certain kind of way, right?
Mhm.
Like if you are a young quarterback that's getting drafted to a shaky or unsuccessful organization, now it's all on you. You're right. It's on you to figure out how to make this thing work on the field. It's on you to figure out how to get the teammates involved. You know what I mean? All these things, like in New England, all these years, man, you had real leaders that had been in those Super Bowl winning teams. You know what I mean? You had Matthew Slaters of the world who've been in this league 15, 16, 17, 18 years, you know what I mean? Who are real leaders, like who would really talk to the guys, like win or loss or draw or practices, you know what I mean? Getting everybody on the same page. And if you require a rookie quarterback who's already, having to adjust to the speed of the game, the different intensity of defenses that he's seeing, and then you require him to be the guy to kind of bring everything together and to define the vision for the team and what we're doing here, I think that's a lot. It's a lot to ask. And that's a lot to put on the shoulders of somebody who's 21, you know what I mean, addressing a room full of 28, 30-year-old NFL vets,
Yeah, that's something. Tell me what you think of this. Is like, was there a massive difference when you say going back to your SEC time and everything and jumping into the NFL, like organizations and how coaches approach, as you're speaking to grown men with families and responsibilities way beyond collegiate kids and that environment? Like, how has that been experiencing NFL coaches? And I know like some are better than others, but how has that process been?
I think for me, I was really happy to see this level of football, right? If my only exposure would have been the SEC level, while it's really cool with the fanfare and the stadiums and everything, I don't think that the football we were playing and that we were being coached in was that high of a level. Like all in all, the playbook was pretty basic, you know what I mean? The defenses we was playing was pretty basic. And I don't think that there was such a big emphasis on teaching the game, right? And really requiring players to understand the game and what's going on. In college, there's still like a certain emphasis on like, if we're just better, bigger, faster, bigger, stronger than them, we'll beat them no matter what we do, right? So I think getting to the NFL, and especially a place in New England where game planning was everything, like knowing all the defensive fronts that they're playing and being able to put things in a bucket and learning the whole terminology, the differences between a diamond front, over fronts, you know what I mean? All the different things that they do. I think the football guy inside of me was really happy that I got to just experience that, because I think it would have done me a disservice in what I think football is really about if I only would have known the SEC level.
Yeah. Dude, I want to kind of go back to the start of your time with the Patriots, because, okay, the way that you got over there was through the Pathway program. And by all means, you were not expected probably by them to take up more than just the IPP spot. You first then earned a normal practice squad spot, and then an active roster spot, and then a starting spot. So you go from expecting to just be kind of probably an IPP guy to starting on the field in an NFL stadium from a very kind of short amount of time. You previously playing your most recent games were in the GFL.
Yeah.
What was that like, bro, mentally when you're getting significant time in your first NFL games? How did that feel?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part is the mental adjustment, right? Like obviously physically you're young, so your body still feels pretty good, but you might still not be as developed as some of the guys that you're playing against. Um, but you can, the knees are still feeling good, shoulders are still feeling good, all that stuff that helps a lot. The mental aspect is what you got to get around, like not getting in your own way with like doubt or like imposter syndrome and all the little kind of things that come up when you're in situations that mean a lot to you, right? Like you're in this moment, oh, this is such a big moment for me and it means so much. In those moments, what helped me was on the one side, like meditation, be learning how to calm your mind and how to step out of that. But on the other side, that's the benefit of the New England way, right? Because it makes everything real simple. Like we'll talk about it in a meeting, we'll walk through it, you're going to do it in practice, and then you're going to do it in the game, right? And it's kind of like a natural progression where they never require you to do anything in the game that you haven't done in practice. You know what I mean? They're saying, hey, that's not how it works. You do it in practice, then you're able to do it in the game. You do it in practice at a really high level over and over again. That's how you show that you're ready to do it in the game. So the practices there were really intense. I think for a long time, I always felt like our Wednesday padded practices were almost harder than the game because they were so much more physical. There was so much more like a requirement to detail. Like you could not afford to take a quarter of a false step, like taking your step a little bit too far this way, that was going to get called out. Like there was no margin for error. But that made game days easy because on Sundays, you've done this 100 times and scrutinized to the little details. So now you just can cut it loose and do it against guys who are not even going to hit you as physically or as violently as the guys do that you go up against on Wednesdays in practice.
Yeah. Yeah. That dude, I love hearing this from a player who's in the thick of it. Cause like we on the outside now that we're retired or forced to retire dudes, like it's so cool to hear that this is still like the mentality. And I love the approach to the game and the perspective. But one of the things I wanted to step back. So you said earlier that you were interested in medicine, right? And I believe if my research serves, you majored in kinesiology. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did kinesiology with the pre-med courses.
Very cool. Very cool. So I'm just curious. So once all of this is said and done, obviously football doesn't last forever for everybody. Are you still interested in pursuing medicine in some capacity, or are there other ventures you're interested in?
Oh no, I'm not gonna lie. That ship has sailed. Just the amount of years in the league now.
Yeah.
Like if I only would have been in the NFL for like 2 or 3 years, there might have been a way to get back into that. But I think at this point, it's safe to say that's over. I'm still like, I think my role as a ambassador and being able to bring the game to Germany more, getting kids involved with the sport. There'll always be something I do. I'm a big yoga guy. I might do something with that. Did a yoga teacher training beginning of the year, continuing to grow my practice in that route, and then just seeing where life takes me, man. Like I already said, like whenever football ends for me, yes, much as I want to go back to Germany and try to get involved with the broadcasting, I might have to just dip off to somewhere, you know what I mean, that's completely off the map, whether that's Brazil, Costa Rica, Senegal, somewhere. I just gotta get away from all this because you'll ask my friends, man, I was never expected to be the guy to just take like a normal route and do a job that requires so much discipline. I don't think any of my friends that you would have met like early on would have told you, hey, Jakob, that's like a super disciplined guy. But I think I'm really blessed that I got this opportunity to play this game that I love. But whenever football wraps up for me, I think I'm just gotta do something completely different for a little bit.
We find you on a beach somewhere.
Right.
A yoga master, bro. Hey, I'll take one of your classes, bro. I gotta work on my flexibility and mindfulness.
Yeah.
You touched on it, bro, about being an ambassador to the game and growing the game in your home in Germany, where I am right now, and see the career that you have been able to put together, and hopefully are still putting together. We can talk about that in a sec. But just talk a little bit about that experience and what that means to you. I mean, you, a young guy growing up in Germany, discovering the sport at a young age here, and it was a niche sport, and then you having all these opportunities that you got from the game. I mean, just because what I know, obviously, you do the Jakob Johnson youth football camp the last few years, which is, Scott, it's huge, dude. It's
awesome.
crazy. So many kids. It's wild. And that's become like an annual thing. And then also what you guys do with Football Bromance, which is also like this football media production company. You've got a podcast there, and all of the NFL stuff encroaching into Germany. Can you just talk a little bit about being an ambassador and helping shine a spotlight on the sport for potentially young kids who were like you a few decades ago?
Yeah, I mean, I've just seen it in my really with my own eyes and my own experience. When I started football was nowhere in Germany, right? We were doing our little GFL thing. That was kind of like a tight-knit community that was over here. And then they would show the Super Bowl on ARD and ZDF, like one of the PBS type of stations, with that kind of excitement to it. Like it had a very PBS type of feel to it when they would show the Super Bowl at the time. And that was really it. But by the time I got back from college, is really when things had shifted a little bit, right? Like all of a sudden you saw a German dude, of course, with the help of the Pathway program, a little bit, a fellow Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns guy get drafted from the GFL to the Minnesota Vikings, you know what I mean? And then the German TV stations started using that as a kind of springboard. They upped their presentation of the game, the TV rights, like they started showing NFL games in free TV, and at the same time explaining the game a little bit. That got a lot more people involved with it. So when I got this opportunity, I was just like, hey, I want to change the perspectives that are there for young players. When I was playing, there was no perspective. The idea of me going to college was really looked at as a kind of like a pipe dream, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, like this guy is just delusional, you know what I mean? But now I think is a real crucial time where either this is going to really become a part of German culture, right? And we start having opportunities for guys to not only go to college, but also play in Europe, play in Germany, and earn maybe not a great living yet, but earn a little bit of money doing what they love, right? Because you see, or I saw a lot of the talents that came up around the same time that I did, put their time in the European leagues, but at some point they had to just call it because it started to get in the way of their real job, right? Like if you're working at a company, you can't come back with bruises and a sprained ankle every other week. You know what I mean? If you are not getting some sort of compensation from that, right? If you're not getting something back besides like, hey, this is just what I love to do, it gets harder and harder to keep doing it. And that slowly but surely started weeding people out. Like guys had to just retire and quit playing because it stopped making sense for them. So I hope that if we can keep growing the game, we can keep more people in the sport, we can create our own product in Europe that's exciting, you know what I mean, get local talents more of a shot, more of a perspective, and keep growing the sport.
Awesome, man. I love what's going on, and like you're a huge part of that, and you're an icon in the growth of American football in Germany and popularizing it. It's awesome, bro.
Hey, listen,
awesome.
as much as I appreciate that, you know what I mean, the one I think thing that really put at least the kind of football that I actually did when I was in Germany on the map is the Unicorn Town documentary.
Nice.
Like whenever
There we
whenever
go.
there are
Thanks,
people
bro.
over here that I'm trying to explain to them what it's really
Yeah.
like to play over there, I'm like, well, go watch Unicorn Town. You know what I mean?
Hell
like,
yeah, bro.
that'll
That's
really give you
awesome.
the perspective. Yeah.
Thank
You
bro.
guys are two sides of the same coin. You're attacking it from those two angles. There
That's
we go.
so true. We just flipped, bro. Now we just flipped.
Right.
Yeah. Lastly, before we let you go, talk to us about what's going on right now in the NFL world for you, because it's been kind of a roller coaster this year, obviously with the New York Giants. And bro, I'm looking at a tweet right now where they said you basically went through sign and waived back and forth like 3 or 4 times in the span of 10 or 12 days. So like, talk about whiplash, bro. Can you just talk about where you're at right now and what's possibly on the horizon?
So I got to put this in perspective, man. Like at the end of last season, with the way things ended at my last team at the Raiders, you know what I mean? Like there's never a guarantee for a guy in my position or a fullback to get another opportunity. But I told myself I'm gonna do what I can for this whole year to get another shot, and if it happens, it happens. If not, then it's not meant to be. Kept training all spring. Wasn't with the team during OTAs. Wasn't really with the team during training camp. And as camps were wrapping up, this is now the Friday before preseason game 2. I get a call from the Giants to bring me in. Ended up finding a way to stick around here. Had a bunch of roster transactions, signed, released. But I played 3 games at the beginning of the season. Been kind of on the practice squad ever since. Got released and signed back a few times. Now, last Tuesday, I got released again. Just the roster mathematics, right? The things are kind of shaky right now here. Daniel Jones being released. There's a lot of movement in the roster. So waiting to hear back to see what happens next. So I'm technically a free agent right now, I guess. Yeah. But like I said, I'm going to give them all of this season and then see where we're at after that.
Yeah, bro, that's such a whiplash. That's just the nature of the NFL, and especially the nature of the NFL as a fullback, which is just makes it 10 times more crazy and difficult.
Man, you are a unicorn yourself.
He is a unicorn. He doesn't want to be one, but now he is.
He didn't like that too much.
He's 1 in a million. Yeah, man, bro. We planned on talking to you for 30 minutes, bro, and we just couldn't be. We talked to you for an hour, man. It was just absolutely awesome to chop it up with you, brother. So thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. We wish you the best.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Fingers crossed and thumbs pressed for you, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, man. The last thing I gotta say, I got an Instagram. Follow me over there, at Jakob Johnson. I'm making a new Instagram for English content because one of the big reviews I keep getting from all the guys I play with and all my American friends is I post in German. All the captions are German. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. So I'm like, hey, okay, I got you. Yeah, whittle me down. I'm making an American Instagram. Go check it out.
That's awesome. Okay, we'll plug it in the description down below.
Right, there we go. Appreciate it.
I'm happy about that. Good stuff.
There you go.
All right, good stuff, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
See you, man. Peace.